Okay, that looks good. So we are beginning where we left off this morning. For some reason I couldn't start the Steam network, but the game saves fine. As far as I remember, we have finished harvesting this field over here, and given the sheep some protein into the bargain. I now need to get a lot of tractors up and working. That's a good start. This is a mod New Holland T6 in a rather fetching shade of red. To stick this on a helper on the grass field. Attach it to the weeder. Now I also wanted to bring the I think the Valtra to do some fertilizing on the field we just finished. And I'm going to put that tractor in for service. Because this will be needed later once the fertilizing is done to cultivate the field we just planted too. £1,500 of repair bill, expensive oil change, and this one here. Okay. So this is the smallest of my field tractors. And being a mod, its narrow wheels do not class as row crop tyres, so they do destroy the crops. This is one of the reasons why I've got the for real crop destruction turned off. This field is once again ready to be fertilised for the third and final time. So that's what we're going to set off and do here. Assuming words that looks like it's working, so helper, off you go. Jump out and run away. Meanwhile, helper H is blocked by, blocked by an object. That was me jumping out. This is where the entire farm starts getting incredibly busy. And now that I've got lots of money, I don't mind running a bunch of helpers all over the place to get the jobs done. Realised I need another big tractor because it's like I don't have enough. That one there. Select the tank, unfold the applicator. You first need to lower the injector tool. There we go. Line up there and stick that on a helper. Now I've set this one up to automatically refill from the BGA, and that's because I'm doing a lot of running around and I can't do shuttle jobs for everything. So a bit of a cheat, but yeah, got out of the way in time. It does mean that tractor can be doing its thing with a helper, and we'll pretend that there's another helper that's running a truck between the BGA and this field, replenishing the supply of digestate in that tank. Meanwhile, on the other side of the farm, did I open that gate as I went by, or did I completely forget to? Yes, I remembered to. Okay. We need to take this lot into field 2, I think it is. Yep. And get ourselves set up for another harvest. Wait, what's your problem? Let me guess. Lift that up and yay, it works. Okay. I didn't just get back into... Okay, we'll have to go over here to get into the class. Should be able to plug that just there, out of the way. Turn off the engine and put the forks down. And run through the thistles. Ow, ow, ow. And get this thing started. Unfold. Enable straw swath 16. Should be good. Now, normally what I would now like to do is have another tractor running behind the harvester baling up the bales, the straw. Unfortunately, I don't have a tractor big enough available. I've got the class, but that's being serviced. So, we'll leave that for now. And also, I need the class to plough or cultivate, plant field 1 once the Valtra's done its task. Now I could use the JCB to run the baler, which is typically what I do. It's about the right size to run it. But then I'd have to run a truck out to the field to unload the harvester, and that's not a wise plan. So that's still going. We're going to have to manually do the edges once this is finished. Still doing this thing. And the big question, which way is it going to turn? Will mean that the pipes on the side I can unload it from. Since these things are such a pain to turn around, I'll drive it forwards and park it over here, hopefully out of the way of that harvester. Okay. I think I pretty much need to go and run alongside this and get in its way. Oh, no, no, no. You did not just do that. Okay. That's going to be a problem. There is no way at 90% that's going to make it all the way to the end and back again without needing to be unloaded and the pipe's on the wrong side. I'd have to drive through the crop to unload it, and I like to avoid that, even though crop destruction is off. It's empty. Dude, what you doing? Seriously? Let's try that again. Oh, come on. Okay, the helper does not want to play. I got that right first time. Let's go. There's also a problem with this fields definition. That area that the worker was having problems with is not defined as part of the fields in some places. So much so that when I was doing contracts on this field, it would say you have left the field, you've got 10 seconds to return. More where I want it. Okay, go. Go. Excuse me. So at this point I'm using not quite dead reckoning to figure out the east-west path on this field. I've got a compass mod installed, which tells me the direction the vehicle I'm in is pointed. At this point it's going west at 269.5 degrees, which is sufficient enough to cover this portion of the field fairly efficiently. Of course I could turn on GPS, but I don't have to. Left have we got? We've got quite a bit left. So I'm going to try and keep to the outside so the pipe is available for unloading if I fill too quickly. Off to give myself a bit of turnaround room. It's probably going to do it. Still says 96%, 97, 98, 99. We're done. So let's knock ourselves out by running into the back of the harvester head, because that's always good for a laugh. Left the engine on. Forwards. Still forwards. There we go. Okay, that trailer's full. Hey JC, how you doing? My game caught me a bit by surprise this morning, and what I thought was going to be a long, lazy summer Turned out to be a, hey, your crops are ready. And it's only day 5 of summer. I run a 6-day season. So that was kind of unexpected. But it provides me with a bit of variation for the stream. What I'm going to end up doing here is grabbing that triangle that the helper missed. There should be enough room in this thing. Just a little bit on the edge. Yeah. That'll plough in. That's kind of what I thought. Okay, I need to line this up at 90 degrees? Yeah, 90 degrees, such that we catch the end of that line over there. So that's kind of the line the helper likes. Approximately the right place, so let's turn this thing on. 96 degrees. To hit the helper there. Okay. Jump out and find the JCB. Leave it over there. Now that thing's at 74%, so I don't think I'm going to make it to the main farm and back again. So I'll just dump the wheat in the local silo. Trucks are so much better at hauling this trailer because they do have about 540 horsepower in the engine. Oh, T6 is, no, what's that? That's the Valtra's nearly finished. That's the harvest is done. Hey Weidenbach, how you doing? Oops. Excuse me while I read chat and drive into the farmhouse, because that's also a good plan. Let's go hunting down a harvester. There he is. The bigger problem with the autumn rains is getting the straw off the field before it disappears. I was chasing that last year, such that as soon as the little icon stopped being a sun and started being rain, I had to send a tractor off to fetch the baler and get that baled and lifted and then into shelter before the rain came, and obviously empty the harvester so that I could close it up and I wouldn't get rain inside that too. Rain's just all round generally bad when you're trying to pick crops up off the fields. You had a busy Saturday, Weidenbach, or I'm having a busy Saturday? Let's jump around these. You're done, are you? I doubt it. Yeah, you're so very much not done. This will be the advantage of grass fields over grass pasture. I can fertilise these fields. Could run this on GPS. I got a fair amount of practice on Arthur's farm yesterday doing it by eye because he doesn't have GPS installed. I think most of my tractors except the small yard tractors fitted with GPS as standard. JCB, the Class, this New Holland and the Valtra. Yeah, I had a 3-hour session this morning, which I thought was just going to be feed animals, possibly fertilise this field a couple of times, and watch time go by. So fast wind the clock for a couple of days until fall. And just as I got into day 5, I figured, oh, I'll check the crop map and see if we have to fast wind this day. And it was telling me half my fields are ready to harvest. So I had to give the harvester its annual service and set it up and get it out into the fields. Fortunately, the first field I did was canola and the pigs were out of protein. So I was able to give them their first protein of the summer. I made a bit of a mistake last year by selling it all off and then deciding, hey, why don't I do pigs? And the pig thing came from I'd planted 2 fields of corn and was using a tractor forager to harvest it, and that was taking its own sweet time, such that I didn't think I was going to finish, so I got myself a corn header for the harvester, and the second field I did half with the harvester and the other half with the forager. It still gave me a nice sizable amount of chaff to take up to the BGA and turn into silage, but I ended up with almost 100,000 litres of corn itself. So, wondering what to do with that, I figured, well, I might as well. Oh, what's happened? Harvester needs emptied. Where is the JCB? There. So yeah, I figured I might as well buy some pigs and feed the corn to them. If the helper quit. Nope, there we go. My helper. I'll be back in a minute. Actually, I didn't need to fertilise that field, because I'm going to seed it as grass. Little turns and it does what you want it to do. Big turns and it ends up all over the place. And there's a little bit of engine draw, power draw when you tip that thing up. I think it connects on the PTO. Hard to tell. Doesn't show up, but there is a PTO hitch there somewhere. Don't think I'm going to be able to. Not going to be able to catch the harvester on the way back, which might be a problem. So, yeah, it might get all the way, who knows. Turn the engine off that, and we'll jump back to here and get this finished. Oops. I do like the smaller New Hollands. Helper E, a full grain tank, okay. And yes, Helper E has stopped in the middle of the field. Left a big pile of straw in the middle of the field too, which is awesome. Yes, I am a bit OCD, and I'm not going to leave that piece of wheat just sitting there. Why didn't you work? There we go. Like this model, although it does suffer from the same problem as the class tractor in that the green paint's rather magic and doesn't get very dirty. Close I left that JCB to the edge of the cut, but I'm pretty sure the helper, if I put one in this, would have an issue. I have an issue too. So back you off, and that should be ready to go on a helper. That one off, and we're back over here. Okay, because we were so far away, the engine turned off, the reader is raised. So I want to finish off this top edge. Probably missed a little bit along the west edge in front of me. Because that's the thing, none of these fields are really very square. So the helpers always miss bits. That is the top of the field. It's right up against the fence on the east side of the field, but significantly short on the west side of the field. Okay. Lift. Thank you. So the helper actually did a fairly good job along this side. And the bottom of the field's rounded, so I expect issues down here too. Is nearly full again. I think that field might actually be completely done. That sure looks like it. Okay, cool. That field's one level. It doesn't need ploughing. He's coming back the wrong way again. Ugh. The helpers back up so as not to leave a big pile of straw at the end of each field. They're not quite so obliging when the tank gets full. What I want to know how much power does the baler need? Where is it? There. 185 horsepower. And the Valtra has more than enough to run that. T6 does not. Okay. So, well, I'm kind of done with the slurry tank now. At least for a while. Okay, you're done. harvester. Okay. Having problems with the edges again. This evening we'll try not to run into the back of it. This morning I managed to get the header stuck between the tractor and the trailer. Which was a tad unfortunate. This is the one season on this farm where it would be kind of handy to have a multiplayer setup. Because there's an awful lot of stuff needs to get done. Still being careful enough to not turn the back lights on. Makes a bit of a change. It's about a third of a silo already. From this one field. Okay, back to this thing. Where am I? I'm there. Forklift, no. Lift. kind of done with that for now. Check with my service guy. You all done? Good. There we go. So we serviced it, it's got a full tank, let's go. Oh, and the harvester's full again. So there's another 2 days before the grass is ready to harvest. We have to find the harvester again. Oh, it's heading the right way. That's good. There. And I will jump out. So we have that one there, which does grass. Ah, that one there, which doesn't do grass. Okay. Using the lemkin. Which will be that one there. Okay, what seems to be the problem? There we go. It's full of seed, which is a good thing. thing. I do need to cultivate this field with this contraption. So let's go get the cultivator. Honestly, I'm not sure. They seem to run at about £1 a second, maybe a little less. But it was kind of sufficient enough that I avoided using them for the first year, because you are so tight on cash that you don't want to incur additional costs that you don't have to. Okay. So yeah, the problem with my seeders is they're not direct drills, so I have to either plough or cultivate before I use them. And that's what we're going to set the helper off doing here. Meanwhile, down here I have the slurry. Oh, hang on. Harvesting, 99%, 100%. I need to get back in the JCB. Change that. I need to get into the harvester, because it's facing the wrong way again. They cost less than they produce in the long run, but obviously if you don't have any cash on hand, you know, you're paying them before you can sell the grain. Now I've got £619,000, so I can afford to do this. Sell the grain. I'm going to have to sell some of this grain because I don't think I've got the storage for all of it. Okay. But selling the grain will give me operating capital to use to pay the workers. Buy my forage harvester later this year, because that's going to happen. Okay, off you go. But this is where the game turns into farm management as opposed to me doing a lot of farming stuff. I mean, at the end of the harvest I will have more money than the helpers cost me. It's just that I have to pay them, so that's a cost of producing the harvest. Which has to be accounted for somehow. As the class is doing fine. So this will be over 40% of this silo filled. And next page. That field, and that field, well, that field and that field are both wheat, which is going to use up my silage space. Silo space, sorry. There. Words. We're already up to 70% on the harvester. But it should be going back down the field in the right direction that I can actually pull some of the grain off. Oh, actually, we're doing quite well on this field. I mean, it's like with anything, the seed costs, the fertilizer costs, unless you're using slurry or digestate or manure. The workers' costs, if you're going to use them. Solid fertilizer or liquid fertilizer costs money. And all of those costs come off the final selling price of the harvest. However, if you're fertilizing 3 stages and you ploughed, then you've got double the yield of not doing any of that. Oh, the other thing you have to account for is obviously the diesel usage in the tractors. Because at the moment, just doing this job, I'm running this tractor plus the harvester. I've got to play the worker for the harvester. Say being England, gas ain't cheap, but I'm playing on hard mode, so gas ain't cheap. To save costs, I tend to get seed from the store instead of using the on-farm seed dispensers and fertilizer dispensers and all the rest of them, because I think the dispensers on the farm cost between 1.5 and 2 times going out and buying pellets from the store. So that's again a savings in running costs. This place doesn't have any small fields. Well, not particularly small. So that's the farm diesel supply, which I really don't have any choice but to pay for that. These are the fertilizers and seed dispensers, and very expensive to use. So if I can get away with not using them, I will. Where's our... Oh, we're not sowing yet because we had to cultivate. Yeah, that's the only downside of the equipment I've selected on this farm, is you have to plough or cultivate to before you can run the seeder. And some of the seeders are what are known as drills. So they drill the seed into the ground, and you don't have to prepare the dirt before you put them down. Obviously, if you want good yield, you have to plough every 3 years, but that's no big deal. Okay, we can run all the way down there. Okay. So you're doing fine, and I want to do this one. So fold that up. And turn the engine on. I'm not sure I like this particular setup. You can get slurry tanks which have cultivator injectors on the back. So running a slurry tank with an injector on the back counts as, or a cultivator injector on the back counts as cultivating the field, and you get a level of fertilization because the tank, or you put slurry on the field. But this unit on the back of this one doesn't count as an injector, so I don't get, or sorry, doesn't count as a cultivator. It is an injector, but I thought it cultivated too. So after doing that, I have to go run the cultivator over the field before I can plant. But this does have, I think, a 12-metre wide operating width, so it still allows you to get the job done quickly. The other option for that particular tank was a sort of drag hose, which had, can't remember, I can look it up, slurry tanks there. So this is a cultivator injector which goes with this one, but it's only got a 6-metre working width. That says it's the Horsch injector, but it's not a cultivator. And this is a spreader which has 36-metre width. The one I've got is only 12 metres, but 36 metres is kind of tricky to wield in the tight spaces these fields are. So I'm going to put this tractor over here again. Because our harvester's full already and is pointing in the right direction. So I can now follow this down on this thing, and it will get back to this point on the next run east. Yeah, I think my first game was on normal mode on Goldcrest, and since then I played every game on hard mode. which generally means crops sell for less, workers cost more, and seed and fertilizer costs more. However, there's a deal on this map. The economy is a little bit more favourable, so seed sells at a higher price than under normal map conditions. The map designer actually modified the economy. Which helps to keep the money going. And that also helps because the silos are only 250,000 litres each, so you can't store a lot of product on the farm. You get to the point where you have to sell it. Not going to fill the tank again. On Gold Crest, hard mode actually gets a break in that the water is not charged for in hard mode, but it is in easy mode. But then everything else is cheaper in easy mode, so it's not such a big a deal. And you can always take a tanker down into a lake or a river if the map has them, and it's usually free from natural sources. Although some map makers are just mean and ouch, they make it so that you have to pay for freestanding water as well. That was a mess. Let's try that again. There we go. So. Why don't you want to empty? There we go. Probably turn the backlights on. Nope. Yeah, I haven't cheated any money on this map. I did it all through chopping down trees instead. I haven't even collected all the gold nuggets to give myself the extra £1,000,000 you get from collecting all 100. Because really I haven't needed to. Yeah. It's not a problem to harvest with the tractor mounted forager. It just takes longer. And this year I can afford a full-size forage harvester, which is going to make the job quicker and easier because I'll be able to use... I missed it. There it is. I'll be able to use helper to run the forager, and because the forager I'm buying has a attached storage compartment on the back with unload mechanism, I'll be able to just tractor the stuff to where I want it to go, while the helper just runs the forager up and down the field. It depends. If I enjoy the map, I stay with it. This map I've got, I think, over 670 hours on it. Old Stream Farm I probably ran for about 400 hours. And it's a small map, so there's less room for expansion. Yeah, look. Wages for the last hour, £2,239. So I kind of got bored with this, with Old Stream. This map is so big that there's always going to be something more I can do on it. I mean, the farm kind of takes care of itself. This year I bought 3 new fields, and as you increase the number of fields you've got, you're either going to need to get larger equipment so that the jobs don't take as long, or get more equipment. So I will probably reach a point where I will need a second harvester, because there's no way I can achieve 20 fields of harvesting with one. But the added problem with that is I still need to shuttle the grain from the harvester to the silos, and that's just me. I don't use courseplay, which is a method of setting up workers to follow a predetermined course. So the thing with courseplay, you're pretty much setting up the farm to run automatically almost. You give a worker a job, and they just keep going until the job's done. I'm still using the basic helper game mechanic, so that helpers can't drive a tractor and trailer to unload the harvester. This one I'm not sure. I mean, I think the thing is, we're about 3-4 weeks from the release of Farm Sim 19. I still haven't achieved the pig breeding and cow breeding achievements, so I'm kind of thinking I'll get those done on this farm, and then the game achievements are complete. I may come back and play this farm again because I like the map. And since the map maker retired after producing this map almost 2 years ago, I doubt we'll see it moved over to Farm Sim 19 unless map maker decides to contact the guy and say, hey, do you mind if I take your map and convert it to FS19? And he may say yes, he may say no. I'm not a modder. I spend my days programming business computers, and I really don't want to come home and start programming other stuff. And this map would work well on the Farm Sim 19 premise, because there's the cow farm, there's the central farm with the pigs, and there's the sheep farm. You could have 3 separate teams working each of the farms. And then, you might have options. I really haven't looked at the north side of the map. I don't know, maybe take out field 18 and turn that into a farmyard. Probably not even all of it. And have a 4th farm area. Okay, we will take that back. Let's go via the road then over the field. Interesting to check how much digestate was used on the number 1 field, because that tank was full this morning after I did the silage bale sell off. Cultivator's still going. See, those jobs are the ones the helpers do really well at. You can just set them off fertilizing a field or cultivating a field or seeding a field, and you really don't have to worry about it until they finish, or they tell you they're finished, and then you go back and say, yeah, you missed that bit, you missed that bit. But it doesn't take long to fill in the gaps and totally complete the job. I think those piles of straw kind of indicate as far as it's going to get before it needs to be unloaded again. Okay, we can turn that one off. You're still doing your thing. Okay, and you have the baler, and I am not going to get to field 2 before the harvester finishes. So we'll set this up on field 3, the barley, once the harvest is completed, and this can follow it round and make bales. So this baler didn't come for the initial game. It's from the Kuhn expansion DLC, which was the first DLC they gave us. I could do this, I guess. Okay, lower the thing, lower the front wheels, turn it on. The class is cultivating the harvester's going to fill up by about the time it gets to the JCB. So I've got nothing to do until that happens. I think this is running faster than the harvester. Yeah, harvester runs at 6 miles an hour, this runs at 12. Or 11 when going up hills. So I think we've got about 30 horsepower between the baler requirements and what the tractor can output, and that 30 horsepower needs to overcome moving the tractor and overcoming the mass of the baler behind it in order to go forwards. And that's a function of the real fuel usage mod. Okay, we can do that. We can usually drop it back about 30 meters so that it doesn't foul up behind the harvester when the harvester does a turn. What's the class? The class seems to have stopped doing whatever it's doing. That means it may be turning around or it's stopped doing whatever it is it's doing. Oh no, there it goes, cultivating. This is where the glance mod at the top left is comes in so useful, because I've now got 4 tractors doing 4 different things. I'm in one of them, hired helps in the other 3, and I can see what's moving and what's stationary, and when I put the class on the seeder I'll be able to see how quickly the seed's going down and gauge whether I need to get the seed tender out so that I can resupply it. So while we're running down the field, now the Valtra is baling up the straw as we go. And the state of fertilisation on this field increases the yield of the straw as well. I will probably collect the gold before I close the farm down for Farm Sim 19. What some of the YouTubers do is they'll tell a story. So they're working on this farm, they own this farm, and you know, they play it for 50 episodes, and then they'll say, okay, I'm moving off to a different farm, so I'm going to sell up this one and use that money to buy equipment. And it kind of makes sense, because otherwise you're doing the same thing over and over again, starting off with small equipment and a couple of fields, and so you don't see much of the map. I mean, heck, even me on this map, I might have 10 fields, but they're all on the south side of the map. I don't spend any time up north at all. So I haven't even taken a look at fields 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, because they're so far away from the central farm. The only reason I have to go up to the northeast side of the map is Aberdeen Grains, when they're offering the best price on a a commodity. Obviously the top west side of the map and the northwest side of the map, you've got the BGA, which I spend a lot of time at, and the lumberyard, which I spend time at. I've not really looked at fields 8, 9, 10 over there. So all of my main farming work is done pretty much in the middle south of the map. And it's where I started. They gave me 10 fields to work, so those are the fields I'm using, and they're all around that central farm. Some of the other map makers, you only start with 1 or 2 fields, and so you never go exploring the rest of the map. And if you're doing a playthrough, people are watching your stream or your YouTube videos to see the map, and you're not getting around to showing them if you're starting off with £20,000 and New Holland T6 as your biggest tractor and 6-metre equipment or even smaller equipment. So if you start off the game like that with that level, but you make £300,000 on your first farm, why not sell the equipment and take all of the money you've made to your next farm and buy some fields that you would ordinarily never see if you started the game over from scratch again. Now me with this farm, I've been working it for seasons for 3 straight years. This is the 4th year I've been playing it, so I've got the big equipment, and I'm starting to expand and buy new fields, so you don't necessarily see the same scenery every single day I play. With seasons, there is the issue that it's fall, it's time to harvest, so I am pretty much going to go around every single field I own. You'll see every single field I own, and you'll see the harvester driving around it, because that's the time of year it is. I can turn that off. Oh, you're done. How do we fold that up? Like that. And that needs a clean. I'll probably just drop that off at the entrance to the field. And start planting. I can always bring a smaller tractor in to tow that back and clean it off and put it away. Although once this is done and we've cleared out the field the harvester's on, we're going to have to do it all again over there anyway. So I might not clean this equipment up yet. I'm going to have to... Oh, I missed a bit over there. Once again, helpers don't do diagonals too well. So we need to unfold that, do that bit there. Zoom. Okay. Lift and fold. Should probably wait till it folds before I start moving, because those things usually have clamps to stop the fold-out sections flapping around while you're driving along. And if you're driving along while they're folding up, sometimes the clamps don't engage and you end up with a lot of damage to your equipment. So that's done. Drop that off for now and try going forwards, not reversing into it, because that's a sensible thing to do too. Okay, back up. And have a fair amount of stuff in this one. And we're set to plant grass here. So let's go. And as I do each job, the ground colour and texture changes, so you can see where you've done and where you haven't done. Straighten that up and put that on a helper. Jump out and run away. So this is cultivated ground and this is seeded ground. Okay, let's jump over to the harvester, which is still going. Good. Good job, dude. Usually the helper will quit when there's that much stuff to harvest. It just decides it's not worth doing a metre wide. Growth. So he's going to stop, he's going to get out, he's going to leave the engine on. Which allows us to go up here and take out these triangles which he missed. And that little tractor with the baler will now follow us. We stop moving. So we've done 2 fields and we have used, I don't know, maybe 10% of the fuel on this thing. Okay. I think that's everything here. There was a strip of... I could drive over this bit, couldn't I? Because then the baler will do its thing. Straight behind me. I'm probably missing half of that though. Now somewhere down this end of the field there was a strip of wheat that we missed. I'm not going to bother about the tufts at the side of the field. I'm not sure I should even bother with the strip over here, but I will. Because OCD farmers cut down everything. There is another triangle over there that he missed. Guessing something's funny. Done. Don't think we're going to make that turn. Oh, and he's left a bale in the middle of nowhere. So I can now turn that follower off. Get back in the tractor, or the, whatever this big thing is, harvester thing. And we now need to put this back on the trailer so that we can get out of the yard. looks good. Drop. No. Select it. Drop. There we go. Back up. And extend the pipe. Stop. Oh, it was that thing I want. There we go. Okay, so the baler's over there. Harvester's up here. And we have to empty the harvester before we can start harvesting barley, since filling it with barley is not compatible with it being full of wheat. I could do with some larger trailers or tippers, and while there are larger tippers available for the AR system, none of them have covers except this one. I don't think Seasons is going to be incorporated into 19 game itself. I think that Giants are working with the modding team who created Seasons, so that Seasons will be functional in 19 if you want it. It may not be available at release, although in the past Giants have made sure that there are a number of mods available when the game is released. I just don't know how close they are to some of the modding teams to enable them to create mods immediately, although they usually release their modding tools fairly quickly after the game release, so the modders can get on with creating mods as soon as possible, for release as soon as possible. But things like the For Real mods, which were the real dirt, real ground, and stuff, so that the tractors react to holes in the ground and stuff like that more realistically, and the crop destruction mod. Those were provided as mods pretty much from the release date by Giants, but I understand that at least the crop destruction mod is not going to be a mod anymore. It's going to be included as part of the game release, and they may do the other For Real modules as well. Okay, we want to get back in the Massey Ferguson, that thing there. Raise the forks out the way, and I'll take the long way round. Why are you acting like that? Okay. I don't think this header trailer has a particularly good turn circle, and if you turn it too tight it can get stuck on the tractor and cause all sorts of problems. Seasons does make it a little bit more complicated, and also some people just don't like playing with Seasons. They prefer a little bit more free format of sort of the standard game release, where you don't have the only issue you have with completing tasks is obviously get fertilization done in a timely manner, so that you don't end up with partially fertilized fields, with FS19 there's going to be the additional thing of weeding and herbiciding fields so that you don't have weeds in the crop when you harvest it, because that's supposedly going to cause the cause a loss in production. You don't. The thing is you don't have to do it, but if you don't, then your crop production's going to suffer. And then after the crop has ripened and is ready to harvest, you have about 3 steps of same length as time as the growth stages. There's 4 growth stages: 0, 1, 2, 3, and then there's 3 harvest stages. And if you allow time to lapse past the 3rd harvest stage, then your crops will wither and you lose them. So that's the only timeliness factor of the standard game, and some people prefer playing like that. There's no pressure. If I feel like harvesting a field today, I've probably got one that I can go and do. If I feel like seeding a field today, I've probably got one I can go and do. That type of gameplay, as opposed to the more rigid thing of seasons where, as I said, it's late summer, the fields are getting ripe, and I am going to need to harvest all my fields. And if I don't, then that could be a problem. I can't go out and plough any fields because the fields are all covered in crop at the moment. Okay, that's on follow me and ready to go. That is a harvester. That is engine running. Unfolded, has no wheat in it, so let's pick up some barley. And let's put the helper in now. And off you go. That's done. That's going. Of course, the baler won't have a problem because it treats wheat straw and barley straw as exactly the same product. And some people are looking to have fun playing a game as opposed to working at a simulator effectively. Okay, let's do another jump around the so that's dropping bales, that's harvesting, that's empty, this is going fine, spreading grass, and we still have a lot of seed there. We're not going to run out of seed on this one. Now I wanted to jump out of there and go and check the silage tank, the digestate tank. Now that was at 100% this morning. We used 11%, 85,000 litres on that one field. So we will probably exhaust that tank possibly between today and tomorrow. I don't need a truck at the moment. Don't need that. How's the barley doing? 55%. This tractor has a very bad rate of turn. However, 12-metre width of this seeder is exactly sufficient to turn the thing round and just go straight back down the field. Workers, not so efficient. They tend to go backwards and forwards when they're turning around. And fortunately for us, if I was running crop destruction, workers don't interfere with the crop, because it's deemed that they're not particularly bright, and they are going to drive through crop even when you don't want them to. I mean, harvesters reversing through that crop, and if that wasn't a worker and I had crop destruction on, I'd have just lost a whole swathe of barley there. This thing's going to make a mess of turning this round. Oh, what are you doing? Dude. There we go. He kind of got unconfused. But that's why I don't have it following quite so close to the harvester, because it gets in all sorts of mess. The harvester's trying to turn around and this thing's trying to follow it 10 meters behind, and it doesn't work too well. That is a lot of straw. Oh, no. If I go here, that's showing the fruit types at the moment, etc. Now this is the level of fertilization and whether a field needs ploughed. You can see the edges of these fields need ploughed. This field needs ploughed this year because it's now showing red as we drive through and lift the crop up. So this is the third harvest in this field, and I'm gonna have to plough it before I put another crop down if I want to keep the yield good. None of the other farmers bothered ploughing their fields. My fields have all been ploughed because the needs to plough shows above the level of fertilizer. And so sometimes if you forgot to, if I just put fertilizer down on this field now, after I'd lifted all the barley, it would just show red unless I turned off the needs to be ploughed, and then it would show me what level of fertilization I've got. Field 5, I haven't bought it yet, and I didn't plough it. No, I didn't get the plough job as a contract in time before last winter, so I never got round to ploughing it, but I did fully fertilize it. So there you can see need to plough and levels of fertilization. This field now has one level of fertilization on it, which we did with the slurry tank. This field doesn't need to be ploughed because I ploughed it last year, or this year, as a contract before the owner had me plant the wheat on it, and so we're kind of good with this field for another 2 years. I can get 2 more crops out of that before it has to be ploughed again. These fields may be in the same state as field 3. I might need to plough some of those as I lift the crop up. Grass fields never need to be ploughed. As soon as you plant grass on it and cut it the first time, cutting grass for the first time adds 1 level of fertilizer and 1 level of plough, the plough effect. So you automatically get a plus 40% yield from a grass field without doing anything else. I've run the weeder over this one twice, so it's now going to give me a 200% yield. This is not a field, it's a pasture, so I can't do anything to improve the yield on that, and the only way round that would be to plough up all of the grass, then reseed it like I ploughed up this field, and reseed it with grass, and then it would be a grass field which I could fertilize twice between each cut and double yield. I'm thinking of buying that field and then ploughing this entire area and turning it into a grass field. And then I'll have this grass field, and that as a grass field, and possibly alter the terrain over here with gravel and put a couple of storage sheds and barns here so that I can store some of my equipment off site. Oh, you stopped. Okay. Let's turn follow off for now. Exit that. Run over there. Turn that helper off and reverse out. There we go. Bad grief. Now, one of the mods I used to use was a vehicle switch mod, which allowed me to create groups of vehicles, so I could create a group with all the tractors in and a group with the harvester in, or all the harvesters in. So when I knew I wanted a tractor, I could just jump into the tractor, or switch between each of the 6 tractors I've got on this map, and just select from jump between the 6 tractors, opposed to jumping between every piece of equipment. I didn't load it for this game. I'm kind of thinking with the amount of equipment I've got, I should probably consider that, but then I've got to set up all the vehicle groups and what have you, and with 3 weeks left to play, kind of not worth it. There are some people who when they're playing, will not use jump between equipment. They'll get out of their current vehicle and walk over to the next one. And I'll do that when they're this close, but sometimes I just can't be bothered, and I'll lift that up. And I'll do it the easy way. There's another mod you can set up which forces you to walk everywhere. It does not allow you to jump between vehicles or jump between locations on the map. Where is it? There. Oh, that was on. Turn on the baling thing, and I am going to catch that harvester up. Because we can bale this stuff at 12 miles an hour. Harvester moves 6. Give it a little while longer and I should get into range of the harvester. Yeah, there we go. Now it'll stop and wait till it's 30 meters behind. So, that's that done. We're actually doing quite well, I think. Got 3 fields done now. I do need to pull all the straw off that field ahead of us before I start to work it. Gonna like the edge, okay. You noticed it lifted the head and then started to reverse. That means that the straw falling out the back of it doesn't accumulate in a big giant pile. It's spread out, which allows a baler to an easier job to pick it up. So there's the start of the swath. Available now. Pull a U-turn. Line back back up on the middle of the harvester and start to pick up the straw that way. But when this thing stops because it's full, that's when we have problems. I should probably get into the JCB and offload some of this. Now I could consider getting a tipper frame that has a capacity of say 25,000 litres, and that would allow me to empty the harvester twice completely. This trailer's only 21,000 and the harvester will pick up 12,800. Oh, and we're full. This tractor's struggling. So how's the seeding? We've still got 50%, 57% of seed in the seeder over in field 1. Now, because I've got no growth in that field, I can't use a weeder on it. But I could take the T6 and put either a solid or liquid fertilizer on it and get a second level of fertilization on that field. Not that I'm going to see any grass this year. At least I don't expect to see any grass this year that will be of a harvestable length. I could be surprised. Hi, cows. So this hour of workers is going to be a lot more expensive than the last hour because I've got the harvester, the baler and the planter all running. Who's blocked? Oh, the baler's blocked because he can't do 12 miles an hour because the harvester's only doing 6. Okay. Yeah, let's get that done. We need you again. Because all the fertilization equipment's up here. I think I'll use the solid. Missed. I need to pull forwards that way. Oh, now that's almost empty, but I probably won't need all of it. So we'll go with this for now. Now in this situation, because I've got 1,600 litres in there, I may actually be able to cover the entirety of field 1. So I might, I'll try it, and if I do run out, there'll be so little field left to do that I won't mind paying the farm rates to top it up as opposed to go and grab some pallets and bring them over. So what's problem with harvester? Oh, he's full. That's his problem. And we'll keep running. Because it's easier to jump out where they're at as opposed to jump between vehicles. So the T6 is actually a big tractor, relatively. If you're starting a farm, this would be your biggest tractor most of the time. But it's the smallest one I've got on this farm, so it's my sort of general purpose run around type tractor. Oh, right. Turn off the follower, turn off the helper. Back up over the huge mound of straw, and then again this thing. So this field is a little bit too long for us to allow the harvester to do its thing. We're always going to end up with the pipe on the wrong side. I think that's an action of the trailer not being big enough to take a full, two full loads. Oh, I can't leave that there. No, 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 no. Get back in. There we go. Now turn the engine off. Fold that, put that down. Change the camera view so we can actually see the rotating thing. Off you go, helper. Jump out, run backwards, and get this thing rolling. Engine's on. Baler's on. Let's roll. Thing. Now the other thing is some seeders have their own fertilizer tanks and are able to lay the seed and fertilizer at the same time. This one is not capable of doing that. And now I want that. Auto width, rotate, sidle that. That's the working width of this spreader. So, small thing does a lot of work. And I'm not going to start that yet because I want to fill that hole there. Let's jump to the class because that's a long walk. There we go. That's lifted. Turn the engine off. No, turn the wheel the other way. Oh, okay. So typically I would mow the section I'm currently driving on as well. But I won't get increased yield because I'm unable to fertilise that section. But no point in wasting grass just because it's there. Okay. So that is fully seeded with grass. I can't even start on the next field because all of the hay is there. Probably need to make some room there. Maybe I'll pull that alongside. There we go. Okay, you are done. And you need to get going. Need to re-engage. Engine got turned off. We turn that back on again. Start the spreader and get going. So that is now adding a level of fertilization. And I will turn the helper on. Helper doesn't use GPS, but he can get going. Well, what are we waiting for here? Oh, it's filled up again. Turn the trailing helper off. Turn that helper off. Pull out to there and stop. Right. Jump to the JCB. Hi JCB. Turn your engine on. And go and find a harvester. Oh, it's all the way up there. So the yield on this field is longer than the harvester does one tank of grain. But as we pass across the width of this field, the length of each row shortens, so we are going to get to a point where the harvester can do its thing. It still has enough room. Okay, let that go. Running, go. That's close enough. Jump out. And let's go empty this thing. Now I could have bought 2 trailers, which would give me more capacity, but I don't think that I would have to tow 2 trailers with the class. because unless I'm going downhill, the weight of this trailer is quite taxing for this tractor, even with 320 horsepower. Hi cows. Little fertilizer spreader doesn't take long. £2,700 of wages. Forwards. We'll go the scenic route. On the right side this time. How much it started with. 1,300. So yeah, cultivators and seeders do get very dirty, so there's really no point cleaning them, as they're going to be pretty much in use for the next 4 or 5 days. And come the end of fall, we clean them all up, put them back in the shed, leave them there for a year. Something I did on Old Stream, because the the amount of storage at the main farm is quite small, and there was a lot of off-site storage. I would cycle machinery through the main farm. So if I was predominantly harvesting, I'd move the harvester into the main farm. Once all the farms had been harvested, I'd move that off-site and bring in the ploughs and cultivators. Once I was done with them, I'd move them off-site. So I wasn't using the valuable storage on the farm with equipment that wasn't being used for a while. On this farm, I just don't have enough space on all the farm. Plus the operation's so spread out. I don't really have a centralised work area. I mean, all the fields I'm working at the moment are down by the cow farm, and all the harvesting and field prep equipment is at the cow farm, and we'll slowly migrate our way across to the fields you see in front of you. And so it's not a big deal to not move them all to the central farm area. Just have an allocated parking space and leave them there. It's kind of the advantage with seasons is, I'm going to be harvesting for quite some time. So the harvester's out of its shed, and it will remain out of its shed until the harvesting is complete. So typically I'll move it to the next field, but there's not enough time for me to harvest it. I'll just leave it parked at the side of the field, ready for the next day's job, rather than take it home, park it in its shed, and then bring it out the next day. It's a waste of time. Filled up. Oh, Helpery has stopped working. Helpery has no fertilizer left. Oh, that's a pain. Oh, seriously. Helper A needs that much more stuff spread. Okay, so at times like this, I will use the on-site fertilizer supply, and I'll fill it, I don't know, 100, 200, Let's go for 200 litres. Turn the GPS off. Should do. Cover on. And get the harvester working again. You're good. You're not good. Fold that, turn the engine on. Set that running and turn back to the crop. Help her go. You need to back up. And your engine's probably stopped too, yeah. We have a harvester to chase again. Close enough to follow that harvester. Where was? There you are. You're loaded. Engine got turned off again. And in this game it doesn't matter if it overlaps. I'm wasting over half of it on grass that can't be fertilised anyway. I just want to get this done. And off. So that is now 2 levels of fertilisation, seeded as grass. And as soon as the field turns green with the first layer of growth, I can run the weeder over it to get the 3rd level of fertilisation. Then it's just a question of how much growth I'm going to get before the end of fall. Stop. And we're kind of done with that field for at least 3 days, so we can shut the gate and be done with it. It's nearly full again. going to do is, because there's a couple of pallets in here, I think they're solid fertilizer, so I'm going to reverse it in and load them up. Yep, they are. So they just go away then. Wasn't even a full one. And I think that one was. So we put the lid on. We've now cleaned out all the pallets on these metal shelves. Now, real life says you shouldn't leave fertilizer in a spreader because it's corrosive. Unfortunately, the game doesn't give us a way to unload them. So we're kind of stuck with fertilizer in the tank. It's a bit like the baler. You know, you're making bales of hay, straw, grass, whatever. But once you've finished the field, or you've finished all your work for that particular round, you should clean it out. But there's no way to empty what's in the baler. So as soon as you start the next job, if I had had any grass in the baler before I started baling straw, the grass automatically transforms itself into straw. And you're done again. Okay. I'm just going to drive on the field. It's not realistic, but keep reversing out and back in again is a pain in the butt. So and we don't have crop destruction on, so it's not actually going to do anything bad. Come on. There we go. Off you go. There we go. So 190,000 wheat, so there's room for 60,000 more, and already 80,000 barley, 55,000 canola. So those getting quite full. So we put the fertilizer away. We can't work any of these fields until they're cleared. I will probably say once this field is cleared, I'm going to have to take some time. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. To pull all the bales off the fields, bale up that load of straw. I'm probably going to sell most of it. I think I'll probably sell the round bales of straw that I already have, replace them with square bales, and ship all the excess out to the store. And I'll store some bales up at the main farm. Where is the main farm? Behind those trees over there. Because the pigs need straw as well, and I keep having to send a tractor down to the cow barn in order to get straw for them. But there's not many pigs at the farm at the moment, so I don't actually have to one bale lasts them more than the usual 3 days. Probably do the cheap method and use one of the auto load trailers rather than the big I might use the mechanical lift on the class and bring a truck over as well, because then I can empty the fields faster that way. 16 bales on the trailer and another 24 on the truck and trailer. We're now getting to the end of the field. Field number 3 drops off very quickly now. It's got quite a steep angle on this top edge, which is going to mean a load more triangles that the helper's not going to do. So, but once, did I check this field? This is the field that wasn't right. This is the field that is going to need to be ploughed before we do anything else. That field's good. We just have to do stuff on it. That's interesting. For some reason the edges of this field haven't had 2 layers of fertilizer on it. It's only fertilized one stage at the edge and then one stage in the middle. Also, do I want to go and chase off after that? Yes. Helper E has a full grain tank again. Look at that again. Nope, that's fully planted. It's just not fully fertilized to the edge. It may be as I get more fields I might get a second class 940 or a similar tractor in that power range. Because the more fields I have, effectively the less time I have to do all of the jobs in them all. And having a tractor that can plough and another one that can cultivate as opposed to one tractor that can do all those jobs, it's probably going to be easier to have two heavy tractors. But we're still probably another year off needing that extra. Oops, nearly hit it. This will probably stop well short of that edge. Probably getting close to the turnaround point. There we go. Is going to have issues. Oh, maybe not. Nicely done. Okay. I'm forgetting stuff. Okay. I did service this truck, didn't I? 4 days until maintenance required. No, I didn't. service the blue truck. Harvester's 80% full again. Is turned on. Okay. Two. And three. Oh yeah, there is a what's called a UAL, Universal Autoloader script that group of programmers wrote and have been improving over time. And you basically tell, using the script, what do I want to pick up, and in this case I have it programmed to pick up square bales, and then it has a small radius around the truck where it just says, okay, any square bales in this area, stack them on the back of the truck. Once the script was created, vehicle modders would go in and add the script to their vehicle. So there's a whole variety of flatbed trailers, flatbed trucks that include the script. Now my set of logging trailers or logging frames also include a wood autoload script, which is a bit of a variation on the standard one, but I find it a little bit unreliable, so I just use the tractor and log forks rather than trying to rely on the logging UAL script on the log frames. But in this case it's quicker to use the flatbed UAL script to pick up that many bales on a field. I mean, otherwise with the tractor and forks it would take a goodly long time, or I need some sort of stacker how are we doing? So he's only at 36%, so I'm just going to park that there and jump back to the truck because we need to get rid of this lot. I'll put them at the edge of the field for now because they're then out of the way. F10. And I need to zoom out the view. Select the thing at the rear. There we go. Move that forward. And drop that lot there. Then we pull forward, we activate the pickup script again on the trailer and the truck, and off we go. Now this setup is quite unusual in that it only allows you to pick up 12 square bales on each flatbed, but you can get 16 round bales stacked on their ends. So this trailer isn't, or this rig isn't as efficient at hauling square bales as it is at hauling round bales. And another one. And head for the side of the field. Harvester's getting filled up. And that little red area shows where it's going to unload to. So I can then just pull up to the existing stack and say, yeah, put those there. Select the rear trailer, left, right, forwards, and that should be good enough. Drop those there. And then I have to move away before I activate the pickup script, because otherwise it would just pick all those back up again. The added challenge with round bales on this farm is the fields are so steep that you end up chasing the round bales rolling down the field. Or the round bales will roll across rows and you end up with the harvester crashing into a round bale and getting tangled up in it. It is one of the reasons why I went for square bales this year. Although the square baler equipment requires a lot more horsepower to use, and so you need bigger tractors, and what else? And it's more expensive. Oh, tractor's done again. There isn't one. Round bales and square bales have the same volume. Yeah, the main advantage, I suppose, is square bales don't roll around on steep hills, whereas round bales can. And early on maps like this, round bale, we've got fences surrounding this field, so the round bales can only roll as far as the fence or the hedge at the edge of, the fence or the wall at the edge of the field. On some of the other early farms, you had a hedge at the edge of the field, which didn't stop anything going through it. And so what would happen is the the round bales would roll through the hedge into the next field and keep going, and you could lose bales in fully grown crop in neighbouring farmers' fields, or you could be harvesting a field of something and suddenly come across a grass bale that you'd baled 5 days ago on an adjacent field. And so a couple of intrepid English map modders created a script for hedges such that bales could not pass through them. And what that ended up meaning was, if you have bales on a trailer and you try and drive your tractor and trailer loaded with bales through the hedge, you would come to a grinding halt. And it wasn't so much a grinding halt as it was the tractor would nosedive forwards and the front of the trailer would buck upwards, because the bales would just a physical, the hedge was a physical barrier to the bales. Kind of like Gandalf, you shall not pass. And it was quite funny seeing some YouTubers doing hauling bales through a hedge, which the previous version of the map they'd been able to do, and all of a sudden the tractor just wrenched itself to a complete stop. So, oh, what happened? Oh yeah, they added a script that made you can drive vehicles through a hedge, but you can't. The bales will stop when they hit it, and they stopped no matter what they were on. Oh, that would be a good thing too. Yeah, because in real life, round bales might be round, but they kind of deform like tyres. So as soon as they drop off the back of the baler or the wrapper, the bottom is flat, so they don't really roll in real life, or at least not significantly so. Obviously, if you're on the side of a mountain, they're going to roll down. I'm not really worried about how tidy these are over here, because I really don't want to leave them out too long. Although we've still got a couple of days before it starts raining. And since this map isn't actually seasons ready, once this stuff is bales, they're safe. That's not how it's supposed to work, so I'll put them under a shelter before the rains come. But at this point, I just want to get this field cleared so I can get the plough running. Of space before I pick up all the bales. I think there's about 2 left. should be fine for now, because I've now got to get in the harvester and drive it myself. Because the worker thinks he's done, and I think he missed a bit. Okay, engine off. You're still running on and follow me. You think you're done. Let's start that engine up and go harvesting the stuff you missed. Oh, like that bit there. Triangles in the middle as well. Too fast. Stick to about 12 miles an hour because that's how fast the baler goes, and I don't want to get left behind. Why is it spurting out straw every so often? Not supposed to do that, dude. Whoops. Now we're going to have to slow down, let the baler catch up. Turn the engine on. The harvesting thing on. Just a bit. Doesn't matter. So I guess the benefit of round bales is you can run them on the baling equipment on smaller tractors, and it doesn't cost you as much money to buy the equipment. But outside of that, and in real life you can get different size balers. In Farm Sim, as it started, all balers produced 4,000 litre bales, whether they were round or square. And a lot of the original modders went with that. But someone produced a mod for Heston bales. Heston bales, I think, are about 6,200 or 6,100 litres. So a little over 50% larger than a regular square bale. And then there is a straw harvest DLC, which they gave us. You have to pay for it, and I haven't, so I don't have it. But they gave us a round baler that could produce small, medium, or large bales. I think the mediums are 4,000. The small ones are in the region of 3,000, and the large ones are in the region of 6,000. So you're not limited, in that way. There's also an old, what they call a Welga baler, which I think produces 600 litre bales, which you can lift by hand. And in real life they do. So you have guys on the ground and a tractor hauling a trailer at slow speed with a couple of guys on the trailer, and the guys on the ground throw these small bales up onto the trailer, and the guys on the trailer will position them on the trailer for the most efficient load they can. And someone produced a mod that has the little Welga baler. Okay, how's our follower doing? Oh, he's done. Okay, dude, you can stop following me, and I can turn the lights off. Thank you. And we've emptied that, so now we need to go and find the little tractor. Because we have to move to the next field, and that tractor's facing the wrong way. So we'll trundle over here and stop there. Oh, I just noticed we didn't get all of the stuff out of the harvester. So I'm guessing that trailer's full again. So, oh, we're miles off. This trailer's quite nice in that it does have a central marker that I can just line that up on. But I still need a dude outside saying, come on, a little bit more, too much, go back. Because from the cab you can't see any of this. That'll do. Yay. And that's probably the best placement I've done all day. So we'll put the pipe out. I'll turn that off for now, and we'll jump over to the JCB. Yep, it's full. Now Giants generally produce 3 packs a year, as far as I'm aware. And this year they produced the Kun DLC, KUHN, which included a bunch of seeders and small seeders, plows, and what do you call them? Cultivators. Fertilizer pack, which I think I've got on this farm, spray at least, and a fertilizer spreader, and then a round baler wrapper combined, and the square baler that I'm using to create the straw bales at the moment. And then at the 12-month point, they produced what they called the Platinum expansion, which included a new map and a whole new set of equipment that is common in South America. The map's based, I believe, in Paraguay. And that was their Platinum expansion. So, as I said, brand new map and equipment specific to South America. And then the last... Oh no, they produced a second expansion before that, I think, which was the Big Bud, which is, I think I've got that loaded on this farm, although I'll never use it. Yep, there. Which is this thing, which has 1100 horsepower. It's pivots in the middle, so the axles are solid, and a whole bunch of really big equipment. Plough, I mean the in-game plough, you start with 2 meters, that's 2 meters, 3 meters, the one I've got just under 5 meters. But then you get this thing that came in the Big Bud pack, which is 10.5 meters, and you need 550 horsepower to haul it. Did they give us a big cultivator? Can't remember. There's the Kun pack Big Bud. Yeah, so they give us a big 24 meter cultivator, and this thing, which is 18.2 meters. That's kind of cute. That's only 8 meters, but it still needs 420 horsepower to haul, which I think, no, none of the tractors I have on my farm can haul that. Have that requirement. They have this thing, which needs 640 horsepower, 25 meter seeder, with a seed cart on the back to provide you with 34,500 litres of seed and fertilizer. So, really big stuff. And so that was the Big Bud pack. Then they brought the Platinum edition out a year after the original release. Did they bring out another pack? Yes. They then brought out the Roper pack, which has potato and sugar beet harvesters. I didn't bother with that one because you kind of already had the Grimmy harvesters for sugar beets and potatoes already in the game with the original game, and so I just didn't see the point in basically getting a set of yellow equipment that you already had in red. And then there have been people who have sold DLC packs, and I'm going to leave that tractor in the middle of the road there for now. You can stay there. You can turn the engine on and I believe unload. Yay. And we'll need to move forward a bit. And then nope, fold that up. Lift the front wheel. So Yeah, people will buy some of the DLC. The Straw Harvest mod pack um, was popular in some areas. I didn't feel the need of it. It added a whole new aspect to the game of being able to turn your straw into pellets or hay, and yeah, nice to have, but not necessary to enjoy the game. Um, and someone has produced, I believe it's a historical equipment pack, which they're selling for money. And okay, fine, but I'm not farming in the 1930s, so I don't need old equipment. But some people might, that might appeal to some people, and so it's worth them buying it. But like you said, there are a lot of good modders out there who just do it for fun. Yeah. I want to play on a new map, so I'll make one, type of thing, and then I'll let everybody else play on it too. Or this truck pack, which I believe was actually in FarbSim 15. So someone decided to convert it over to 17. Okay, how many bales are out there now? Very difficult to tell, but there might be one up there. And then again, there might not be. Now I currently don't want to take these trailers too close to that collection of hay at the moment, because they're in pickup mode and they'll destroy all my nice stacks of hay. But I do know there's some hay bales out on this field, so I'll go grab some until this is full. I'm not going to worry if I don't fill the trailers up. Sorry, if I do fill the trailers up. And there's still some out here, because this entire field needs baled and picked up anyway. So I'm going to have to come back out here anyway. 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think 6. Done. Okay, so that's a full load. We'll be done with that. So I'm going to call this field cleared. I'm not going to worry about the little bits of straw all over the place. Front selected. Let's pull that up to there. And put that there. Select the rear trailer. Dump to the right. Swing it out a little bit further. And unload. Okay. And we'll pull that up to the front. Park that closer to the gate. Okay, done with the truck. We're going to need this moved. Actually, I don't want the baler there. Put this off to one side here, because we've now got to move up this lane to the field just north of where we've just completed. Okay, this tractor. How good a turn radius you got? Masterful. Okay. So yeah, this baler was part of the Coon Pack. And I bought it because it had some nice features on some of the equipment. And had alternates for the smaller seeders. A lot of the seeders are towed, much like the baler is, so they're flexible behind the tractor. Or there's a flexible attachment behind the tractor. And the Coon Pack had a lot of hard-mounted equipment. So you attached it to the 3-point linkage at the back of a tractor, and it didn't trail too far. So on places like Old Stream Farm, where you had very tight fields with hedges very close to the edge of the field, and there wasn't enough room to swing a trailed. Oh, that's gas. Okay. There wasn't much space to swing a trailed piece of equipment behind you. It just worked better because you turn the tractor and the thing's hard mounted on the back of it. Much like the spreader I used, the fertilizer spreader I was using earlier. It just attaches to the back of the tractor and doesn't articulate at all. Okay. And it's now 11 o'clock. So I'm getting ready to pack up. I'm just going to load up all the vehicles ready for the next session. So I need a plough, and that's in here. And I think field 3 is done and ready. And as we already ascertained, needs to be ploughed before the next crop's planted. So we'll drag that out here. Actually, I'll make it easy on myself. I'll drive in here and swing around. This is quite a flexible unit. It's got a good rate of turn on that plough. And that wants to go round about there. And that's good. So the plough itself has travel mode, and then you can swing it over so the blades push the dirt in the same direction. So the way you use this is you'll line this up on the side of the field. Actually, let's turn the and the problem is it will then trail out to the side as I pull it. So as I move forward, that's the operating position for this plough. So now when I do that, the middle of the plough lane is the green line, but the tractor has to follow the blue line in order to have the blades on this side at the point where the red line is, and then the blades at the back on the right hand red line. So following the green line is not a good thing, following the blue line is. And because this this particular piece of equipment does allow a good level of rotation. This tractor can actually turn it inside itself. So how does that look? That looks like the start of the field. So if I drop that and then go, we're ploughing the right the way to the edge of that field. And then when we get to the end, we put the left wheel of the tractor effectively to the what would be, actually no, we turned around, so we'd put the right wheel of the tractor next to the rightmost furrow of what we've just ploughed behind us, flip the plough over the other way, so the leading edge would be on the right side of the tractor, and we'd run straight the way back down again, and it's always pushing the dirt that it's ploughing to this side behind the tractor from where we're looking now, that side of the field. And these types of ploughs are usually a lot quicker than the rigid ploughs that you can get. Anyway, I'm going to get to the end, turn around and finish for the night. Tells it to alternate the blue line. Okay, so I get to the end of the field. I don't have enough room. We lift the plough. I'll take it back a little bit. And I turn around. That down and flip the plough over. This field isn't quite so full, and I forgot to lower it. So then I'd lower it, and that'll swing in line, and we're still in line with the prepared field, and we do that all the way up and down the field until we're done. Clock. Lift that up. Anyway, thanks for watching. I may be on tomorrow afternoon, I'm not sure at this time. And until then, everybody have fun. Have a good night. Oh, come on. You're not going to let me turn the stream off. Okay.